Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, and I am joined by my two co-hosts, Michael Hall and Michael Reed. We are returned by our friend of the podcast, staff writer for the Washington football team, Mr. Zach Selby. How are you doing tonight, Zach?
I'm doing all right. We literally just got back from the facility in Richmond, and now I'm enjoying it, living it up in this really nice hotel, honestly.
I was going to say, it looks nice.
Yeah. The nice little backdrop over here is a nice little ambiance to what we got going on.
Right. I was about to say, are you in Venice or something right now? Like,
it feels like I should have like a glass of Chardonnay right now, or a glass of wine.
What if Selby showed up wearing a robe and had like a nice little glass and was just like, hello, fellas.
Speaking of that, there is a tradition that I have for any time that I travel anywhere with the team. I always spend at least one night in the robe because all robes are complimentary to the hotel. Well, this room does not have this hotel does not have a robe. So
they used it on the paintings.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, they were like, you need to get the painting of the robe. You can't choose both.
Exactly.
You can use the window curtain, I've found. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Now, Zach, I do want to rope this back into the Washington football team because you brought up the Chardonnay and two guys who should be sipping on a glass of Chardonnay in celebration. Probably not tonight because training camp starts tomorrow. Yep. But Jonathan Allen and Logan Thomas, they got extensions. How surprising of this was for you? Obviously, Jonathan Allen not as much as Logan Thomas, but kind of break down those contracts for us and what it means.
Well, yeah, I think to me, honestly, neither of them were a surprise because you have John Allen, who has made it pretty clear that he wants to be here. He loves being here. He was raised in Ashburn, so he has a local town story, but what it does, it really just shores up the rest of the defensive line. You're able to have the quartet, the four horsemen of the apocalypse down there just beating down on quarterbacks for another few years together, and it just makes all the sense in the world. He's a leader. He's dominant. I mean, that face that he gives, a non-emotional, the Vulcan face is just like the most terrifying thing that I can imagine. And it's really nice to have him around because we need him, and that's plain and simple. With Logan Thomas, I wondered if they were going to get it done. I know that he was going to be free agent coming up this year, and it's something that really makes a lot of sense because I mean, what if he does have another great year? You're going to have a bidding war. You don't want that. You don't want to have a bidding war with some of your best players for the team. You just don't want to do that. And Logan Thomas has proven to be that guy. And what they get now is he's going to be another weapon again for whoever's back their quarterback, even though Fitzpatrick gets slated to be the starter. And it's not an open competition, but at the same time, they're going to compete. But either way, they're going to have guys out there who, in Logan Thomas, who has the ability to make plays downfield, has some good hands. He's a big, strong guy, 6'6", 250 pounds. Just another option for, this offense to really kind of expand the playbook.
Yeah, definitely excited. Definitely excited to have Jonathan Allen back. I feel like he's such a throwback player, even with the throwback helmet, the throwback face mask with the bar down the middle.
Looks like Philip Daniels out there sometimes.
Right. And something that came down a little bit a while ago, like recently, was the whole Curtis Samuel being on the PUP list. I know you can't really go into detail a lot, but can you just give us kind of a little bit of what's going on with that?
Well, I mean, I know he really wasn't at OTAs or minicamp for the most part. And yeah, I guess it's really something that they maybe just want to monitor because it's important to remember that it's on the active PUP list, not like some sort of, because if you look at there's a billion different kinds of designations you can give for, players who have, issues that make them want to have to miss time on the field. So it's worth noting that he's still on the active roster, which is encouraging. I mean, I would assume that they're going to hope to get him out of training camp at some point because he's a big piece. He's their number 2 receiver. They got to have him out there. And I think, but what it does do, I think, is it gives these other 10 wide receivers outside of Terry and him to make a case to be a part of this roster because, I mean, even if he doesn't have any training camp time at all, Curtis Samuel's going to be on this team. We all know that he is. But now it's a question of being, well, okay, what about the third and fourth guys? What about, I'm in no particular order, Cam Sims, Steven Sims, Dax Milne, Kelvin Harmon, what are they going to do now with extra time? Because they're going to get more reps. That's just the way it is. So it's unfortunate that he's not on the field. We want to have him back. Hopefully he's going to be back. But at the same time, it's another opportunity for these guys to compete.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about it like that. That it could be a blessing in disguise for this team because that wide receiver room, that's crowded. Another person who hasn't been at camp is Cornelius Lucas. Cornelius Lucas, of course, is placed on the COVID list. Him and Samuel Cosme were expected to kind of compete for that right tackle spot. Do you think that this gives Cosme the leg up for the starting job?
I wouldn't go that far.
Right.
I think he's going to at least – I think he's like – it's kind of like with the receivers. I mean, he's going to have more opportunities to compete because even though he's not on – Cornelius Lucas is not on the field, so that means somebody's got to be out there to take those reps. And Cosme is – they say they're going to put him at left tackle to see what he does, but he could move to right as well because he has the ability to do it. And I mean, they really like his physicality. They like his strength. They like the way he's able to move guys around, kind of move those 5 techniques and get those 3 techniques out of the hole, so to get those running backs in open lanes. And I mean, he's going to be given a shot just as much as anybody, but he's going to have some more opportunities to prove himself. That right now, especially in this next month, the more reps you can get, the bigger your resume is going to be.
Yes, and Ron Rivera spoke with the press today, Zach, and one of the things that went under the radar, based on everything they did say, was talking about the reps and based off competition regarding the entire team. And he said the quarterback was no different. Obviously, it's been something he's been saying all offseason that he wanted and expected a quarterback competition regardless of them signing Ryan Fitzpatrick. So my question to you is, how do you see the reps being divvied up between the quarterbacks in order to accomplish what Ron Rivera is setting out to?
Well, I think he's going to keep true to his word to say that Fitzpatrick he's probably going to get like the first round of reps, I would say.
Okay.
But I think, the way he looks at it is he wants to have a true look at what everybody else has got, as far as Kyle Allen and Taylor Heineke. He wants to give everybody a shot to prove that they can go out there and start if they really, really want to. If Taylor Heineke wants to start, he's going to have the opportunity to do that. If Kyle Allen feels like he's ready enough in his recovery to make that step, he's going to get a chance to prove it, because he even said that, whenever Dwayne was the starter, he pretty much gave all the starters reps to Dwayne, and that was something he regretted because maybe it should have been more of a competition heading into it, and maybe some things would have been different. But now he's the guy who learned from his mistakes. He's going to be able to say, you know what, we're going to give everybody equal opportunity to show what they can do. And as much as Ryan Fitzpatrick looks like he's pushing to be the guy week 1, they're going to go out and say, here, prove it, show us that you really want it, earn it for us.
Right. And speaking of competition and kind of camp battles, behind Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissic, there's the battle between Patterson, Barber, and Lamar Miller. How do you see that shaking out? And speaking of Antonio Gibson, I know everyone was talking about his turf toe in the offseason towards the beginning. Is that still going to be an issue going forward?
I think a lot of media members made a lot of hoopla to pull out old SpongeBob word there. I think when they said that he was monitoring it, I mean, when you have an injury, you're gonna want to just keep an eye on it. That doesn't mean that it's gonna limit his ability to be on the field or not. From what we saw in minicamp, he was just as quick and elusive and speedy as he always is. I don't think it's gonna be that much of an issue. I've had turf toe. Turf toe really sucks. And it's one of the injuries that you really you can't do anything specifically for it. You just gotta let it be and let it heal on its own.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to be fine. As far as the other players go, I think the third running back spot is really going to be the true competition here. And I think a lot of people like Patterson. I like Patterson. I think he has a good shot. But let's just remember, that he was still undrafted rookie. He's still going to have to prove that he deserves to have a spot on the roster. Period. It is encouraging that he was the only undrafted rookie that they signed, but at the same time, he still needs to prove it. And another thing to keep in mind is they did keep 4 running backs on the roster last year. Bryce Love did not play, but they kept 4 on the roster. So Patterson could make the roster as that 4th guy. Now, I think if you look at what Peyton Barber does, I call him Mr. 3rd and 2 because he does so much. His average is not great, but if you probably wouldn't have won the first Eagles game without him. You wouldn't have been able to keep those drives alive without Peyton Barber. And he's got a pretty good hold on that role. Now he did lose some weight. That's something to keep an eye on, but I think he's going to be fine. It really just comes down to who out of Patterson and Lamar Miller, to me, is going to get that 4th spot.
Right. Yeah, so let's skip right into training camp, man. Just right into some of these battles. There's some very interesting battles that are going to be taking place on that field. I mean, you're William Jackson III versus Terry McLaurin. You're going to have a matchup between freak athletes with Montez Sweat and Chase Young against Sam Cosmi, who's one of the most athletic offensive tackles to ever come out, according to his RAS score. Which matchup are you kind of most excited to see on tomorrow?
It's really interesting. If we're going to go with straight like offense versus defense, I think it'd be really good to see Terry versus William Jackson.
Yeah.
Because you have a guy in Terry who is a master route runner. He has really good hands. He knows how to get open. He's working on getting open quicker at the line of scrimmage. And then you have William Jackson, who has been one of the best man corners in the league, period, for like the past few years. And nothing really gets by him. So that's going to be really interesting to see is who's going to win that matchup. In terms of like the big boys, the big skill guys up front, I think Charles Leno and Chase Young is going to be interesting because, Charles has a lot of experience. He's been to the Pro Bowl. He's had like 95 consecutive starts. He's no spring chicken by any means. He's been around the block, and Chase has shown you that it doesn't really matter to him. So it's gonna be interesting. I think there are opportunities for Chase to get but it's gonna be interesting little one-on-one matchup.
Yeah. Yes. And then speaking of like Cornelius Lucas, with him being on the COVID list, Zach, one player that I haven't seen much news on, and I'm very intrigued on how he's being used in training camp, is Sadiq Charles. Based on Lucas going on the COVID list, do you think that Sadiq is going to be getting more reps at tackle? Because basically my question originally was, where do you see him working out majority of the time at training camp? Do you see Ron and company using him at tackle, or is it going to be predominantly at guard?
I think he could get more reps at tackle. I think that's definitely a possibility, because if you get rid of Cornelius Lucas for the couple weeks that you're supposed to be on the COVID list, I mean, you really only have Cosmi and Charles out there, getting the reps. And I mean, if you're going to split it up between the ones and twos, I mean, he's going to get more opportunities. But I think he could be more of a guard, but I really see him as more of a traditional tackle, because he has the quickness to go up against those quicker defensive ends and be able to, and also the strength to dig out those 3 techniques as well. So to me, I see him being more of a tackle, but he also has the ability to play guard. But it's really interesting because you don't know what Charles is going to do, because he's almost like a guy that there hasn't really been a lot of conversations on him. You almost you don't want to say you forget about him, but he didn't play that much for last year.
Big difference between talk about him last year compared to this year. Last year, people were talking about him.
People were high on him last year, real high. So I'm going to stop waffling around the answer, and I'm going to give you a definitive, I see him playing a tackle.
There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah. And speaking of guys that have been high on lately, Jamin Davis was the first-round draft pick for this team. If you go back to last year, Ron Rivera kind of publicly challenged the linebacking core to kind of be better, do better in games. So do you see Jamin Davis coming in and kind of changing life for this linebacking core, or does the fan base kind of still need to be, I guess, worryful of this linebacking core going forward?
It would be nice if he did just change life completely for the linebackers, like Chase did last year. But I think that's almost not fair to make that as a comparison, because I mean, how many Chase Youngs do you come around in a lifetime?
Right.
Yeah. Maybe one. So I think what he's going to do in his rookie year is he's going to make some really good plays, and I think he's definitely going to make the linebacking group better. I think we'll be able to say at the end of this year, wherever we're at, hopefully in the postseason and maybe even longer, that the linebacking core is a definitive improvement from what it was in 2020 and 2019, because he has the ability to do it. I don't think he's going to have one I don't think he'll have one set spot more than a lot of people think. I think he could say he could have a designated Mike linebacker or strong linebacker title, but he'll probably move around a lot because they want to be able to use all of his skills to the best of their ability. So to me, it's not going to be he might transform in year 2 or year 3, but right now it's going to be like what's a good movie reference here? So maybe like episode 4 of Star Wars, like it's a really good start to the franchise.
Right.
But then by the time Empire gets there, you're like, you know what? We're good. This is one of the best of all time.
Right.
I
love that comparison. That's very
Notice I did not include the Return of the Jedi in there.
I was about to say,
it's a
just
solid,
forget about it.
solid, but it's not as good as Empire.
Right. Yeah. You can't include that. So there's a lot of good position battles, as we know. I mean, you look at wide receiver, you look at the secondary just in general, left guard, right tackle. But one position that's not really getting talked about too much is the number 2 tight end spot. Does John Bates kind of have that locked up? Are we going to see some Ricky Seals-Jones, or how do you see that shaping out?
He doesn't have it locked up.
Right.
It's funny. All of y'all are bringing up how not a lot of people talk about it. I've been writing these stories. You can check them out at watchfootball.com. That's a shameless plug right there for you.
Flex on him, Selby. Flex it.
Yeah. We'll put it in the title.
No, I don't think John Bates is a lock to get number 2 because there are a lot of really good quality players besides him. I mean, we just recently waived Deion Yelder, but Ricky Seals-Jones, he's got a lot of experience. He's done a lot of really good things. He looked really good at pass catcher too.
Yeah.
So I talked about this in the position breakdown. John Bates is going to be a really good second or third tight end, depending on what the availability and how the inactives work out each week. Okay. It's going to be the question about how many tight ends do they keep on that, because they have 7. They have 6 now, and 4 of them weren't even on the roster last year.
Right.
I mean, and plus you have Sammis Reyes. You don't know what you're going to do with him. Is he going to be ready? I mean, you don't want to get rid of him because there were a lot of people who were interested in him. You don't want to have to compete for the opportunity to re-sign Sammis Reyes with that kind of potential.
Right.
So if they keep, I don't think they're going to keep 3 like they did last year. I think they could possibly keep 4. Because if you look at the way the roster was constructed last year in the initial 53, I think there are more defensive players than there were offensive players. That could maybe be evened out a little bit more this year because of all the talent they have on offense. Because I mean, bringing it back to wide receiver, how many wide receivers are you going to keep? You can't keep
7. Right.
I don't think you could keep 5 the way they did last year.
No.
I mean, you think you have Terry pretty much a lock, Curtis pretty much a lock, De'Ami Brown pretty much a lock. That's 3 right there.
Yeah.
And then you think, what about Cam Sims? He's really good. And
Adam Humphries.
Adam Humphries. They went out and got him. He has a good relationship with Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, you could just name off 2 of those French guys, and that's 5. So then you're also getting rid of 2 guys who you really believe in. Yeah. So I think, to me, I have a feeling they're going to keep 4, and John Bates might have he might slide to that 3rd tight end spot to say he's going to be a blocker that can kind of give you a little bit of a wrinkle in the passing game.
Yeah, okay. I like that a lot, Selby. And you brought up the wide receivers, which comes to my last question for you to finish up this interview. My ignorance, I was on your Twitter yesterday, came with a question regarding the kick and punt return duties and what options are available. And you educated me very quickly and let me know that you have already written about this, and it was a slam dunk, like exactly what I was envisioning. You put that down on paper. So if you could kind of explain to us and the audience who is capable of doing the punt and kick returns, and who, in your opinion, do you think is the favorite to win?
So they have a pretty small list. Also, I'm sorry I had to slightly dunk on you. You see an opportunity and you just like have to take it.
By slightly, he means Vince Carter at the Olympics.
Right.
But no, like the list, I think you have Danny Johnson out there. He was a good kick returner. He's being considered a little bit for punt return. You have Isaiah Wright, who did it really well in Temple. You have Steven Sims, who had a history of doing it last year, and I think you also have Adam Humphries. He did a little bit of it last year, and Dax Milne too. I think if you really look at it, they're looking at explosiveness and they're looking at consistency, which is really, that's all you really need at the end of the day if you're a punt returner. If you could just fair catch it, then you've done half of your job. Right. You almost argue you've done most of your job. the point is that I think if I had to name a favorite, I don't know if I can really name a favorite because all of them have their issues. Like, I mean, Steven Sims has history there, but he did have a little bit of fumbling issue. Isaiah Wright, I think he also fumbled the ball a little bit last year as well.
Dax Milne doesn't drop it, but he lacks the explosiveness.
And him and Adam Humphries are white. That's kind of a that's stuff.
Not touching that. But no, I mean, a lot of people make the point about how Dax has some experience, and he does, but it's not anywhere near what some of the other guys have. So if I had to put it into a core group of people, I think are like a final three for favorites.
Okay.
That'd be Steven Sims, Danny Johnson, Isaiah Wright.
Okay.
Because once Isaiah gets the ball in his hands, he's really good and really, really good.
And he kind of fits Scott Turner's mold as a versatile playmaker on offense, where he can kind of be used as a running back and a receiver. So maybe he could stick around. Maybe you're right. Maybe especially if he impresses as a return man.
To that point, remember us bringing back about how many receivers you're going to keep.
Exactly.
One of the things that you really bring up is, what else can you do for us? If you can be a punt returner or a kick returner, that makes the decisions a lot easier.
Yeah. Yes, it does. Yeah. And Zach, you hit that transition perfectly. By the way, we're bringing up the wide receivers. That's exactly what my intent was. Zach,
I'm a professional here. That's what I do.
You are. You just gel in so nicely with us, Zach.
Best in the business.
I can't thank you enough, sir. Hall and I will be down there on Saturday. Hopefully, we'll be able to link up with you, sir. Be able to introduce ourselves formally, and be able to thank you for all the time that you've put out into this team, and not only being able to come on the pod and being a friend of ours. We really do appreciate it, Zach.
I'm always happy to join the Burgundy Zone, and I will have some brownies and cookies. Hopefully, if the media doesn't eat all of them.
Yeah, that was my question. I saw you baking those brownies. I was going to ask how they came out.
Oh, they're amazing. What you mean? Did you doubt it?
Fair.
I mean, come on.
I don't doubt it a second, Selby.
I'm not going to be there, and if you guys get some and you don't bring me back something, I quit. Like that's
I can't guarantee anything. Selby, thank you, sir. I hope you have a great night. I will see you this weekend, and make sure you guys go follow Selby on Twitter for live updates for training camp. If you want to plug your Twitter handle right away, real quick.
At Zach Selby WFT.
Yes, that is the follow for Washington football fans, none other.
Sir.
Thank you so much, Selby. I hope you have a great night, sir.
Yes.
Awesome. Y'all have a good one.
You too,
Appreciate it, man.
Take it easy.
All right, everybody. We just spoke with Selby, of course. That was great. A lot of great tidbits. I know there wasn't a lot to get out of him in regarding some of the injuries that have come about, especially Curtis Samuel and Antonio Gibson. But look, he gave us what he could. And are you worried at all, guys? Reed, are you worried at all about Curtis Samuel being on the PUP? Look, we know that he didn't go through minicamp because of the same groin injury. Are you worried at all that it has not progressed enough for him to be able to be activated?
Being as how shameless self-promo, being as how I just finished an article about free agents not panning out because of injuries and other things of that nature, and them being big name signings, which comes out tonight, by the way. I am worried just because of our past history, and I just feel like, oh man, here we go again, another free agent that's gonna happen too. But like, that's just the fan side of me, the person that's always worried. Am I really worried? No, not necessarily. I think that this is kind of just a precautionary thing. It's not really as big of a deal as people are trying to make it out to be. I think he will ultimately be fine, and it's just, look, they don't want to take any risks.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I do remember back when we talked about it, I guess right when OTAs and minicamp went down, and I said I wasn't really that worried about it because training camp was still months away. He had time to kind of rehab it, rest it, and here we are at training camp, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm slightly a little bit more worried. I'm not like full on panic, like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? But my panic meter has gone up just a couple notches. Am I like worried about him not being there week one? I'm not gonna go that far yet because we're still a month and a half out, and I'm just gonna like Selby said, hopefully it's just a precaution thing, and hopefully by the end of training camp he'll be out there. Maybe within that second or third preseason game, they can kind of get him into that game flow, game speed type of situation. So if he's not on the field by the second or third preseason game, then yes, I will definitely be more worried by that.
Are you guys a little bit more worried than I am? I think that the team kind of realizes here with how many wide receivers and talented wide receivers that they do have, given that there's only 3 games of preseason, they're going to have to kind of, accelerate the process of dwindling down what they have in that wide receiver room. And so it maybe is giving Curtis Samuel just a little bit of extra time to get more healthy for the season. You know what he brings, but it also gives the younger guys who has something to prove more time and ability to showcase on film what they have to prove. So I think it's a positive as much as more so than I am worried about it, if that makes any sense.
Right.
Yeah, just to add on one more thing, it's not really me worried about like the injury per se. It's more of me worried about the on-field chemistry with Fitzpatrick, because obviously during minicamp, OTAs, training camp is when you kind of develop that chemistry, kind of develop like what Fitzpatrick likes on a comeback route, on a dig route, how Curtis Samuel likes the ball thrown into him on certain routes. So that's like the one little thing I'm worried about. But again, Curtis Samuel and Fitzpatrick have been doing this for years now, so I'm sure they'll work it out.
Yeah, and I just want to give you guys an update just in case you are not aware of everything that has surfaced in the past couple hours regarding the Washington football team. Curtis Samuel and Greg Stroman, the cornerback from Virginia Tech, have been placed on the PUP. This is bad for Greg Stroman because he was fighting for a roster spot and he can do punt and kick return duties. Now, the other that we did not talk about with Selby was DeShazier Everett and Tim Settle are both on the non-football illness list. Slightly concerning given the fact that DeShazier Everett is slighted as the favorite for free safety right now to start camp, and then also with Tim Settle being the one kind of anchor that we have for the defensive line, where if anything does go wrong with the front starters, we always know we have Tim Settle in that back pocket. So him starting out in the non-football illness list, not a huge concern, but it is concerning. And then Cornelius Lucas going on COVID. Kadarius Toney was placed on the COVID list by the Giants like a week ago, and he's already been activated off of it. Yeah. So with Cornelius Lucas, I don't think it's that big of a crazy thing going on. I just think it's probably going to be about a week or so, hopefully, praying. Yeah. And then the latest that just came out, Washington signed defensive end Bunimi Rotimi, which is a guy that played in the XFL, came from the Bears, does have some experience, but it's one thing that we've talked about, fellas, because it was one of your concerns, Reed. If there was an injury to Montez Sweat or Chase Young, can you really bank on Toney and Will Bradley King?
Right. Yeah, you're 100% right. And it's obviously just a depth signing, just that they want to see if they can get somebody in there. But yeah, that has been a concern. I do think that is something to be concerned about. I think it's a genuine concern, but I do think that they are very high on Toney and William Bradley King. And I just, like I said, I think this is just a depth piece, just in case. So let's see what you got. Let's get another body out there and bring in some more competition.
One thing I will say, I probably would be more confident if this was more of a veteran, like somebody, an older person who has shown that can play in this league, just in case.
Yeah, exactly. This person, it's just kind of like it's an extra body.
Right.
Yeah. It's probably a nice body. Probably a very nice body. It's probably worked hard on it.
Yeah, no, I'm with y'all. I think it's just more of a camp body, more of a precautionary thing, just in case someone has a minor injury, a slight tweak here or there. You still got a guy that can jump in, take some reps, has a little bit of NFL experience, and can pretty much just, like I said, be a camp body and be in there to take some reps.
Right.
Yeah. So let's move on to our fan questions now, guys. And we're going to start with the birthday boy. We have to give a special birthday out to Scott Hartley.
Scotty, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Happy
neighbor. Birthday, Scott.
Oi.
Thank you for your service, sir. Yes. I know that you were in the military. I can't thank you enough for everything you've done. I hope you enjoy it. Like I told you on Twitter earlier, take a shot for me tonight, sir. I hope you party your butt off and enjoy it.
Yes, sir.
Scotty, wasn't Scotty in the UK military?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
I'm just still saying thank you for your service.
No, I know. I was
killing terrorists.
I was just making sure that the fans knew that it wasn't.
He's killing terrorists and pulling pubes out of female soldiers' mouths. It's normal.
He's my favorite.
He's my favorite. Scott's first question for us is, do you think people are too high on Sammis Reyes? He understands the RAS score and that he's an athletic beast, but he's still learning the game. Scott believes that he's going to make the practice squad without getting picked up by another team along the way. And Selby kind of went into this where a lot of people were intrigued by Sammis Reyes before Washington plucked him. So if he does go on the practice squad, he's going to circulate through the league and somebody might pluck him and say, yeah, I want him. So do you think that the fan base is too high on Sammis Reyes, Reed?
I think that a lot of fans, a lot of fans were in the beginning. I think that after some of the videos came out during minicamp and some of these, I think it's kind of chilled out a little bit. But look, I mean, the guy's potential is unreal. His RAS score, like you said, it's incredible. Like there's a reason that he can make the transition to football, and so many people were interested in signing him. Now, it he's never played football before, so it's going to take him time. Football is not just something you can pick up and play like that. It's going to take time. And do you want to keep a guy like that? Do you want to fill up a roster spot? Because like Selby said, there are actually a lot of teams that are going to be very interested in bringing him on. So it's going to be a risk if you put him on the practice squad. Does he make the active roster? I don't know. I hope so, because I think that you want to keep this guy kind of stored away for a few years and then let him see what he can become.
Yeah, I do think people are high on Samus. I'm sorry, Reed. I do think people are high on Samus Reyes, but for this year, not for his career, because his potential is obviously there.
Right.
But we all have to simmer expectations of what's going to happen this year. You have to understand, when you go to the pros, like, players have to come to the grip that, like, they say the game slows down for them, right? It's going so fast, they're not thinking as much. They're just reacting, doing what they know to do. Players that play college football that know the game have to go through this process. Samus Reyes is starting as a newborn baby, doesn't even know how to walk yet. It's going to take time. Not only does he have to get familiar with the game, but then he has to make the transition to the NFL after learning the game. That is very, very difficult to do, but luckily for Samus, he has fantastic teachers, Logan Thomas, Pete Hainer, and he's also going to have that competition in his face at all times, so it's going to get him ready quicker, if that makes any sense. But I think people are too high this year, Scott, but his ceiling is very, very high, and I think everyone's right on par with that.
Yeah, I pretty much had the same point as you, Kyle, where it depends on your definition of high, because if you're high on him this year, contributing somehow, getting on the field, then yes, you're way too high on him, because like you said, he's pretty much a newborn baby. He's just learning how to crawl. He's pretty much just in his beginning walking stages of like his football career.
He's where James is right now.
Exactly.
James is Reed's son, by the way, if you don't know.
Yeah. If you don't know that, why are you even listening?
But if your definition of high is maybe in year 2 going to year 3, you could possibly see him get on the field, possibly start to contribute a catch here or there, then yes, I think that you're right on par. And I think that, like you said, his ceiling, it could be, I'm not going to say like a Logan Thomas, but like kind of a Logan Thomas type story where a guy that never played the position. Well, Logan Thomas played in high school, but came from pretty much zero. Pretty much started at zero because he didn't play it in college, and then came to the NFL and was still a quarterback for the first couple of years. But pretty much starting from zero, start from scratch, and then work your way up.
He was a tight end in high school. Frank Beamer.
Yeah, he was like a top.
Frank Beamer convinced him to go to quarterback, and that's
Yeah, and he got drafted by Arizona as a quarterback. Yep. All that, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I definitely think that maybe like year 2 or 3, people should maybe start checking for Samus Reyes. But if you're looking for him anytime this year, other than maybe getting on the practice squad, then yeah, your expectations are way too high.
And like we will say, when we first signed him, yes, people were way too high. People were overreacting. They're like, we got the next Antonio Gates. It's like, guys, this guy's never played football.
Right.
He's never picked up a playbook. Relax.
He probably just called it football for the first time in his life.
Right. Now, our next question from Scott is also one that's was also asked by our guy Ken Burgundy, and that is, should the Washington football team extend Daron Payne now? Ken says they have the cap room to do it, and this would keep him around for another 4 to 5 seasons. Scott essentially said the same thing, where who are you signing next? It has to be Terry, right? Do you also sign Payne or use the 5th-year option on him to use him as a trade piece in the future to get a veteran quarterback? So what do you think, Reed? Who is the next signing? Should it be Daron Payne? Should it be Terry? What are you thinking?
That is so tough. I think that the next signing should be Terry, but because this is year 3. So after this season, he's allowed to be re-signed, right, as a 3rd-round pick or during the season, something like that. That's how it is with those mid-round picks. I think that the signing of Jonathan Allen, I don't think that it's necessarily the writing on the wall for Daron Payne, but I will say that I think that having Jonathan Allen locked up and then having Matt Ioannidis already on contract, unless you trade one of those guys, then Daron Payne may end up being the odd man out, because you're going to have to sign Montez Sweat coming up here soon. You're going to have to sign Chase Young right after that. You're going to have, and that's a lot of money to invest in that defensive line. But yeah, I think Terry's going to end up being the next man up. And I do think that they should use a 5th-year option on Daron Payne, keep him around for another year and possibly figure it out with a trade if you have to trade one of the big 3, because we still got Tim Settle that everybody always forgets about.
Yeah.
It was a beast third defensive tackle would be.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you on the fifth-year option for Daron Payne that Scott had put in there so eloquently. Because you're going to need that cheap option because you're paying Jonathan Allen, because you're paying all these guys. You're going to need that ammo in your arsenal. So I could totally see Daron Payne being here for that fifth-year option, and then maybe the guaranteed money for Jonathan Allen is done by then, and then you can pay Daron Payne to stay here. But I would say it's going to be Terry that's going to be the next one to sign. There's been a kind of there's been a theory here. There's been a consistent message being portrayed. Chase Rulier, first one getting signed, gets the extension, right? Next one, Jonathan Allen, right? Then after that, it's Logan Thomas. So you have center, defensive tackle, tight end. What's next? It's going to be wide receiver, and that's Terry, without a doubt. Extend Terry as soon as you can. I don't care.
Real fast, Hall, before you go. And the thing is, with Terry and Montez Sweat, yes, they came out the same year, but since Montez Sweat was a first-round pick, you are allowed to use a fifth-year option on him. So I think that's why Terry would get signed before Montez Sweat, in my opinion. But anyway, go ahead.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you to Ken Burgundy, my guy, and to thank you to Scott Hartley. Those were great questions. Sorry, Hall. Keep going.
No, I was just gonna say, like Reed just hit the point I was gonna make where Montez Sweat.
I just butted you and was like, suck Hall.
He jumped back up in the first round a couple years ago to get a guy like Montez Sweat. It's because you can get that fifth-year option of control.
Yep.
You don't got to worry about, hey, we got to give the huge contract to him now. As far as like signing Daron Payne now, I'm gonna have to say no, unfortunately. Like you said, Terry's gonna be the next guy up, and like you said, you can always use the fifth-year option for Daron Payne. With him signing Jonathan Allen yesterday, that gives this defensive line being together for another, I think, 2 to 3 years if you extend everyone's fifth-year options and stuff like that. So they're going to be here for the next 2 or 3 years while the Super Bowl window or the door is slightly starting to open up. And when you extend a guy like Logan Thomas, you extend a guy like Jonathan Allen, it frees up. First of all, Logan Thomas got a great deal, $8 million. That's like perfect money.
Yeah.
When you extend a guy like Jonathan Allen, who's still on his rookie deal, and then you pretty much have 5 more years of him under the contract for $60 million a year, that frees you up to possibly bring in another free agent talent next year, or if they want to go after a quarterback next year and kind of just go all in and really open up that Super Bowl window or the Super Bowl door, then you got the money to do so. So all 4 of them, the extensions that they made, and I said on Twitter, it's just so great to have like actual football people empowered to do football things, because you see what happens. Great things are happening right now. So it's a great time to be alive as a Washington fan.
Yes, and like Keith said on Twitter at KGSkins26, this Tanya Snyder has started out well. 2 extended players that really have needed it, and he's absolutely right. I'm not going to argue against him.
Yeah.
Tony Shivers, I wanted to apologize because you basically asked the same question as everyone else is, do you think extending young core guys like Royer, Allen, and Thomas sets the table to do the same with Terry next season? Based on my explanation, that's 100% right. That's what I believe.
Based on what everyone's seen and heard about Terry from day one, it was already from day one they were probably going to extend him no matter what. So it's just a matter of time at this point.
Mm-hmm. And remember, you just had a different feeling with Terry when he came in. And Kyle, I mean, you hit the nail on that when we drafted him, but like when Terry came in, that was like around the time where like we had just went through the Terrell Pryor thing where Terrell Pryor was supposed to be big. We always had these wide receivers that looked so good during the off season but never did anything. Taylor Jacobs was always the best practice squad player of all time. I think it never produced. Cam Sims was amazing that preseason and then didn't really produce in the season. But Terry, you were just like, this guy's something different. And then Terry went out, he performed during minicamp, training camp, preseason, and then the regular season, he's been dominant. Terry's a shoo-in to get re-signed. He's a perfect player. He's Jonathan Allen, but on the wide receiver side. But no, I've thought about this before. Literally, he's like the reincarnation of Darryl Green, but on the offensive side. Like kind of just having that work ethic, that mindset that I'm just going to do whatever I can. He kicks butt. He's undersized. He still does well. That's what I feel like. He's Darryl Green reincarnated. He reminds me a lot, and I know this is big shoes, but he reminds me a lot of Marvin Harrison / Isaac Bruce, where he's a similar size. He's just a fantastic route runner, shuts his mouth, and does his job. And I love it.
I like the Isaac Bruce comparison.
That is a great one. Now our next question is from Mark Baxter, and I'll start with you, Hall. What player do you think that will get cut, but will be the hardest to see go?
I'd probably say it's a split between. 'Cause I do think they're probably gonna cut Kelvin Harmon coming off the injury, because they drafted AGG in the 4th round. That's the guy that they've drafted. Kelvin Harmon was a Jay Gruden era type of guy. So only because I like Kelvin Harmon, I like what he did at the end of his rookie year. I've been watching him obviously come back from the ACL all over Twitter, and I do think that he has a potential spot somewhere in this league and on this team potentially, honestly.
Yeah.
But I just think that they might favor AGG, who's like younger. They drafted him; he's a 4th-round guy over him. And if I had to pick another guy, only because I liked the signing when he came in, I was a big fan of his in college. Even when he went to New York, I was kind of just like watching from afar because I was like, I like that guy. He modeled his game after Sean Taylor, and that's Landon Collins. I do think that he'll be here because of the contract, but it would not surprise me if they ended up cutting him at the end of camp.
That you would hate to see go. Like that's such a hard one to kind of pinpoint who could be cut and that you would be blown to see go.
Right.
Because then the names really start trickling in.
Yeah.
But look, I guess I'll be like a not beta, but same as Reyes, just because of the potential that he has with Pete Hainer and everything. But looking at the tight end room, it's really, really tight. And they would have to possibly put him on practice squad. And like Selby said, if he does float around that, I think a team will pick him up. And that will be a hard pill to swallow.
Look, I'm going to drop a name just to make some airwaves here. Will this happen? More than likely, no. Could it? It really depends on how that corner room shapes out. And I'm going to say Jimmy Moreland. What happens if St. Juice and these guys play fantastic? McCain goes in there and he takes over, or St. Juice can play outside all of a sudden. You can put Kendall Fuller inside. And
I'll do you one more though. The only reason I'm doing this is I know I'm not trying to shit on anybody, but Kendall Fuller, based on how much he's getting paid, Jimmy Moreland's still on his rookie deal. He's very, very cheap. If you're gonna,
Well, the reason I was saying Jimmy Moreland is because he wasn't drafted by Rivera and them, and I mean, will that happen? No, I don't think that it will. I think Jimmy Moreland's going to start and the slot. I think as the nickelback, I think he's going to be the 3rd corner. And I don't think it could happen, but there's a possibility. You never know, man. They didn't draft him and they did sign Kendall Fuller, so who knows? Yeah. That's one that would just hurt because I love Jimmy so much.
Yeah. People's corner, man. I think people would legit be like up and on.
So do I. That's what I'm saying. And I was just going out on a limb. Will that happen? Like I said, no, it's not.
Yeah.
But it would hurt.
Our next question is from our guys, Jeff Miles, the uniform creator. You can find him on Instagram at Jeff Miles.
Awesome designer.
He's an awesome guy, but he has 2 questions for us, and they're really, really good ones. What team besides us do you think is a sleeper that will make big noise in the playoffs, Hall?
Any team in the NFL?
Yeah. That's a sleeper that'll make noise in the playoffs.
I will go with, even though they're in our division, I'll go with the Giants. I don't think they're really like a sleeper team, but I do see them randomly look at the Josh Allen type of thing where year 1, people were kind of like, year 2 came around. He took minor steps, but people are still kind of like, I don't know. Turnover problems, accuracy problems. Look at Daniel Jones. Year 1, turnover problems. Year 2, even more turnover problems. But you can still kind of see flashes, just like Josh Allen in year 2. All of a sudden, you get a weapon like Stephon Diggs up in Buffalo. Josh Allen takes off. I'm not saying Kenny Galladay is anywhere near Stephon Diggs. I don't think he'll have the impact that Stephon Diggs has. But they put all the weapons around him. They've improved the offensive line, and they got a defense to kind of keep them in the game for the most part. So if anyone was going to make a surprise run, I could definitely see the Giants doing it.
The only reason I'm saying they're a surprise is because of the division that they're in and the teams that are in there. But I'll say the Arizona Cardinals.
That was one of mine.
I really like the way that they're built. Getting J.J. Watt. I know Chandler Jones is kind of having a contract issue, might not show up and everything, but having J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones on opposite sides, and then getting Isaiah Simmons, also bring in Zaven Collins into the equation, having Budda Baker there in the back end, one of the best secondary members, not including DeAndre Hopkins on the offensive side of the football, and Kyler Murray.
They also brought in A.J. Green.
Yes. Yeah. So this is a very, very good, well-built team, and I think that's a team that could really shock people because of Stafford going to the Rams and Russell Wilson with Seattle. They're kind of overlooked. I could definitely see them making some waves the way that they're built.
I was about to say, yeah, and especially just because of the division that they're in. But
Yeah.
I could see it happen. But I'm gonna do another one, and this is because I had two lined up. Actually, I had three. Originally, I was gonna say Giants, and I was gonna say Cardinals, and now I'm gonna go with this team. But this is a team that I could actually see this happening with, and you saw them kind of take a big step last year, and that's the Miami Dolphins. I love the way that the Dolphins are built. Tua Tagovailoa, first of all, he had good stats. I know a lot of Dolphins fans. Marley and Kevin Wall are Dolphins fans, and I talk to them all the time. So I know that Dolphins fans are very frustrated with the way Tua played, despite how his stats were. He's going to have an actual offseason this time. He's not injured, and there's no COVID, so he's going to have time. He's going to hopefully pick that up. They have a lot of weapons at receiver. All of a sudden, he has a lot of pass catchers. They've improved the offensive line. They've invested in their defense. They have one of the best cornerback duos in the entire NFL. Miami Dolphins are definitely a team to look out for. Will they overtake the Bills and win that division? No, probably not. But could they be a wild card for sure? Definitely.
And do some noise. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely
I
right.
love Brian Flores as a coach too.
And I was about to say, he's one of my favorite head coaches in the NFL.
Yeah. Now, Jeff's next question for us: who's the best on the team, on the Washington football team, the best chance to make the Pro Bowl this year? 3 on offense and 3 on defense. So I think we should all just pick one apiece for each side of the football.
Okay. Want me to go for? I want to start defense.
Sure.
Okay, so not like you're saying. I'm going to say Montez Sweat. I think Montez Sweat has a huge year this season.
Montez Sweat. I really like that.
I will go. I'll go William Jackson. I think that he wasn't getting enough. He was getting shine up in Cincinnati as like a lockdown guy, a top 5, top 6 guy. I think coming to this defense, a bigger market, a better team, I think he'll get the shine that he deserves, and he'll be a starting cornerback for the Pro Bowl.
I forgot to put in, there was a caveat. Anybody besides Chase Young. Jeff Miles.
Yeah, I was going to say Chase.
That's why.
Obviously, everyone's going to pick Chase. But for defense, the one I'll pick is Cam Curl.
Yes, there we go.
The safety
the 3 I was going to say anyway.
Yeah, the safety market is not that deep. It's not that crazy, and Cam Curl could definitely earn himself that Pro Bowl spot. I think that's the best chance defensively. So, Hall, why don't you start us off for offensively? Who's one player that you think that has the best chance to make the Pro Bowl?
My boy that just got the bag today. I did not believe in him in the beginning. Kyle was the main one on the Logan Thomas train, saying he's going to be a beast. He's going to be a monster for this team. I think Logan Thomas takes another step in year 2 of this offense, justifies getting that money today, and is going to have a killer season.
And
Pro Bowl.
Real fast, I'll add to that. I was listening to the whatever the podcast is with Will Compton and Taylor Lewin.
Bussin' with the boys.
Bussin' with the boys.
And they had on T.J. Hawkinson and what's his face? Who's the best tight end in football?
Travis Kelce.
Travis Kelce.
Was it Kelce? No, it was George Kittle. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, sorry.
They're neck and neck, but they were talking about how Evan Ingram made the Pro Bowl. They're like, dude, Logan Thomas down there in Washington, he should have made it over him. Then they were both slicing him, so they were all impressed with Logan Thomas. But you want me to go now, or do you want to
go? For offense, I'll go with Chase Royer. Royer because he made the Pro Bowl last year. This offensive line, with all of the moves that have been made, the makeshift moving of all the new pieces in place, if Chase is able to take command of the offensive line and kind of make sure that the ship is steered in the right direction, I think Chase has the best chance to make the Pro Bowl again.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with the obvious choice here, Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
I think that Terry's going to have a fantastic season, as I think everybody does, and I think he's going to make his first Pro Bowl. I know the NFC's loaded at wide receiver. They have the 2 best wide receivers in the NFL, and DeAndre Hopkins and Devontae Adams. But Terry's going to put up some numbers, and he's going to be Pro Bowl worthy.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, let's go to our guy, Just Your Average Fly Guy on Twitter, one of our big fans. He asked the question, if you had to bet your favorite Skins/Washington football team jersey on it, who would you predict our starting secondary is on week 1?
I'll go William Jackson, Kendall Fuller, Jeremy Reeves, Cam Curl. Gotta go the People's Champ, Jimmy Moreland.
All right, I like it. I'm going to mimic the same exact one as you because I thought I was going to take everyone for a spin by saying Jeremy Reeves a free safety. But, of course, Hall has to steal my thunder as always.
I wanted to say Everett, but he was on the list today. So I'm like, and I liked Reeves, what he did last year.
I was literally going to say the same thing with Jeremy Reeves because I like him. But you know what? I'll throw a corkscrew in there, and I'll replace Jeremy Reeves, and I will replace him with somebody who might not even necessarily play free safety, but he can, and it'll be because he needs to come out here and help defend the pass, and he's going to be used basically as an extra corner, and that's Bobby McCain.
Bobby
McCain.
God damn it, Bobby.
Propane accessories.
I sell
Propane and
propane and
accessories.
propane accessories. I thought I told you to quit that whacking in my trailer.
Now our next question from Just Your Average Fly Guy is, who has the most impactful plays this season between Cam Curl and Bobby McCain?
Ooh.
Oh, I'll go Cam Curl. I think Cam Curl takes another jump in year 2. Cam Curl came out. Cam Curl, think about all the plays that he made last year, man. Cam Curl out of nowhere. And look, I like Bobby McCain, but he's not the playmaker Cam Curl is. Cam Curl is a legit playmaker in the NFL.
Now, there's a good argument to this. Because of what Cam Curl did last season, maybe quarterbacks will be less likely to go target Cam Curl and more likely to target a guy like
100%.
Bobby McCain. And he's going to be able to get some balls off. But the question is, how many reps is Bobby McCain going to get? Is he going to be starting in the lineup? Is he going to be a rotational guy? Is he going to be on the benches waiting for an emergency?
Will he even make the team?
Right, and that's a big question. So if I'm going to go here, just because you already picked Curl, I'll go with McCain. Just because Curl, getting the respect he does, he might not be targeted as much as he used to be.
Probably expects me to say Curl, but I'll go McCain just because I think that he's a ball hawk. I think that, like you said, he's versatile. They can use him in the slot. He can play the free safety. He can play the strong safety up in the box. They can use him on blitzes, so he's probably going to get maybe some fumble recoveries, maybe some sacks here and there, as well as Cam Curl, obviously.
Right.
But I just want to give a laughable shout out to all those Cowboys fans out there that I saw on Twitter today talking about they got the best safety in the division when they just signed Malik Hooker today.
Look, I liked Malik Hooker coming out of college. I liked him coming out of Ohio State, and I still thought that he had potential. I thought maybe he could have made a decent free safety here, but with the injury problems he's had and the fact that he was on some pretty good Colts defenses and still couldn't really make some noise, I'm sorry, but Cam Curl laughs at you. Jabril Peppers laughs at you. Logan Ryan laughs at you right now.
Exactly.
Let's see, what's his face for the Eagles? Anthony Harris is laughing at you. Like, calm down, guys.
Yeah.
Wow.
It always happens with them. But I will just a gun to my head, just your average fly guy. I'm picking Curl. Just want to let that out there. I love Curl. I love him so much. Now, his last question for us is the over/under on what week Benjamin St. Juste gets his first start.
Ooh. I'll go coming out the bye, so I'll say week 9. Or it was our bye, yeah. Our bye's week 8, so week 9.
What do you think, Reed?
I don't know, man. I don't even know if he will start. I don't really see William Jackson. I mean, depending on injury, but yeah, I'll go. I'll say week 11.
That's my caveat. Only if injury happens.
Right.
Week 11, huh? That's what you guys are saying? Hold on, let me pick this
Well,
up.
that's what I said. All said week 9.
I say week 6. That is what I'm putting down there. That is when they play the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
Benjamin St. Juste in college lined up a lot on tight ends and heavy set wide receiver formation. So the tight end would be by himself over on the side, nobody on there, and they would put Benjamin St. Juste on him, going up against Tyreek Hill with Travis Kelce. With the weapons they already have there with Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Pat Mahomes, they might be using Benjamin St. Juste to strap up on Travis Kelce to make everything else easier for them. So that's, I would say, week 6.
That was very smart, Kyle, looking at the schedule and figuring out the matchups. So Good for you.
Now, to finish this up, it's a question from our good friend Cracky, a.k.a. Kevin, because Cracky is his real name to us. We don't call him. He says...
Because he likes to smoke the crack, I've heard.
No, it's not. It is. But not the actual crack, but like a butt crack. Now, he wants to know this
butt crack.
Yeah, this is for Hall, he says. But look, I don't care about Kevin, okay? I'm stealing this, Kev. He says, it's a redraft of the 2020 NFL draft. Knowing what you know now, would you still draft Chase Young or would you draft Herbert, Hall?
Cracky's such a troll.
I know. I know. He wants me to say Herbert because he can be like, oh, well, I thought you loved Chase Young. I thought he's going to be a defensive rookie or player of the year.
Trying to bait you. Yeah.
He baited me because I'm not going to lie. Obviously, I love Chase Young, and at this point, we're like literally legitly splitting hairs. But if you know what you know now, obviously, you just saw what Justin Herbert did in his rookie year. Me personally, I've always been high on Justin Herbert. I've always liked Justin Herbert. I knew he was going to come in and ball in the NFL. Did I think he was going to do that his first year? Hell no. I thought it would be year 2, year 3. But with that being said, Obviously, quarterback is slightly more important than defensive pass rusher, defensive end. And if you add the weapons that we do now with Curtis Samuel, Logan Thomas in his second year, Cam Sims on the outside, Terry McLaurin coming in this second year in the offense, I think that with these weapons, Justin Herbert would put up similar numbers that he did his rookie year with these weapons. And with this great defense we got, I think that we'd have a franchise quarterback and we'd be killing it. But like I said, you're splitting hairs.
Yeah.
But I got to go with Justin Herbert.
Boo this man. Boo! It's Chase Young, dude. I mean, you have to think about the 49ers return touchdown, the Joe Burrow fumble at the goal line. If they would have scored there, that game was over. We wouldn't have won against Cincinnati. We wouldn't have made the playoffs. We would have been getting a high pick anyway without Chase Young.
Before you keep going, can I just have one rebuttal?
So that being said, if Herbert was here, there's no telling that this team would be as well off as they are today based on what their winning schedule was, because Herbert would be different than Chase Young. Chase Young's leadership, the energy, the tenacity, the beast mentality, the I'm going to run through you, was what this defense needed. For a long time under Jay Gruden, it was like a powder puff mentality. We reacted to what people did to us instead of us inflicting our will on somebody. Chase Young single-handedly turned that around.
My only rebuttal to that would be, yes, you are right. His leadership, all the intangibles, and the plays that he made kept us in games. But you also got to think, if Justin Herbert's out there slinging 25, 30 touchdowns in a season, that's keeping us in games too.
But the other caveat there is, remember last year's receiver core? I mean,
well, if you look back at Lynn last year, Mike Williams was injured most of the year. They really only had Keenan Allen.
Hunter
Henry stayed healthy, so that's a good thing. But we got Logan Thomas.
Mike Williams balled out as well.
Yeah.
When he was healthy, yes.
Yeah.
When he was
healthy.
I mean,
so I'm gonna look. Franchise quarterback is the most important thing, obviously, in the National Football League.
Tell that to the Lions.
But well, I mean, it still is. You say about a lot of teams. Take Aaron Rodgers away from the Packers. Where are they?
They have Jordan Love, though. What do you mean?
But the second most important position is a pass rusher, and Chase Young is a generational talent at pass rusher. This defense would not be nearly what it was last year without Chase Young, like you said, Kyle. I'm not. I know I'm going to sound like a homer, but I'm going Chase Young. I'm going Chase.
I don't care if I sound like a homer. It's without a doubt. I would take Chase Young 10 out of 10 times. I don't care. That is somebody you do not come across normally. That dude single-handedly came in as a rookie, as a young man, and commanded and got the respect of grown men who've been in this league for many years. There is weight to that. And look, I respect the hell out of Justin Herbert. Would I love to have him as a quarterback here? Yes, but not at the expense of Chase Young and what he truly brings to this team. It cannot be measured by any statistic. It cannot be measured by any number, nothing. Chase Young's input in this team is off the charts. Now, his last question was basically, which one would make you a Super Bowl contender now? Like, without Chase Young, would Justin Herbert on this team make us a Super Bowl contender? I can't say that. I really can't.
Yeah. This defense would still be very good. The offense with Justin Herbert right now would be scary. Think about that. But the defense wouldn't be as good without Chase Young. So I don't know.
Justin Herbert is legitimately the perfect quarterback to fit Scott Turner's system. I think with these weapons on offense, even though obviously with Chase Young, he transformed the defense.
Right.
I think that with the offense that we could have with Justin Herbert and all these weapons, his running game, I just think that we had a middle of the pack average defense. I think that we'd be legit, I'm not going to say Super Bowl contenders, but we'd be in the mix as one of those could go on a run teams, like a dark horse team if you want to call it that. So,
and one thing to remember, Chase Young's presence was getting him double-teamed, triple-teamed throughout the season. This allowed Montez Sweat to have a bounce-back year in year 2 and look really good. Without Chase Young there, this team was going to get ran all over like they did against Tampa Bay. They would not have had the pass rush that they had with Montez Sweat when he was facing single coverage. This team would have looked much different without Chase Young on it, and they would have been picking in the top 10.
Hey, speaking of getting double and triple teamed, I got to get going.
All right, I got you. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Can't thank you enough. We'll see you guys again on Thursday. I hope you enjoy training camp tomorrow. We'll celebrate on Twitter. All right, everybody. I'm Kyle.
Paul.
I'm reading my masterpiece. This is my swan song. This is the best one yet. We'll be out either later tonight or early tomorrow morning. But before you check out mine, make sure that you check out George Carmey's piece on theburgundyzone.com because it is fantastic.
Sure.
It is amazing and shows you what to watch for at training camp tomorrow.
And 5 takeaways, 5 things to look forward to going into training camp tomorrow. Make sure you check that out on theburgundyzone.com. Also, the Discord chat server where you can chat with us live with old dad, with Hall and myself, plus the UK folks and all of our VIP guys. All right, everybody, we'll see you on Thursday. Washington football. Hey! What's up, everyone? This is Kyle from the Burgundy Zone. We are releasing our own merch to support the show. If you want to rock the Burgundy Zone logo or you want to see Reed's face on your shirt, we got it. We're starting with t-shirts.